some of the sandwiches he used to make, he'll be making. Yeah.
Good evening. If I could call the regular meeting for the Cumberland Fire Committee to order. If we could first take a roll call. Commissioner Hayden.
Present.
Commissioner Hogan.
Here.
Commissioner Kutsiani.
Present.
Commissioner Pacone.
Here.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Santoro.
Present.
And Commissioner Willett is here. If we could please stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as a comment, an excellent suggestion that was made at our roundtable discussion, I would just like to review the mission statement. And the mission of the Cumberland Fire District is to provide exceptional public safety services in a safe, compassionate, cost-effective, and professional manner. Let us move on. General announcements. Does anyone have, by the way, first of all, I can't imagine what it's been like for firefighters these past couple of days in these extreme conditions. Chief, I don't know how many calls everybody went out on, but man, I can't imagine what it was like. So kudos to everyone for just taking the job, especially in weather conditions that we've had in the past couple of days. So, Cumberland firefighters, I do appreciate what you do. Any other general announcements? Okay. Approval for the minutes from 12/17. Is there a motion on the table? Motion to approve by Commissioner Santoro.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes from 12/17/2008, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Communications? Anybody? Okay. Any old business? We are cruising right along here. All right, new business. Chief, your report. If you would, please.
Good evening. In tonight's packet, there is the report for December of 2018, and there is also the yearly report of all of 18. The significance of December with the holiday season was that we didn't have any real catastrophes in Cumberland. Everybody's homes stayed together. There was no building fires that upset anybody's holiday season at all. So that was a good thing for us. The ladder one that was hit by a drunk driver earlier in the month has been appraised by both a repair shop and by our insurance company. We have received a payment for the damage so that we can get the process started, which we have. We'll probably not get that into a shop till probably late February, early March, with the backload that they have right now in the shop. The other significance is the finance director and I have started working on our fiscal budget for 2020. We have had a meeting with the finance subcommittee last week. On the yearly report, there was approximately a 4% increase in runs for a total of 4,760 alarms last year. Almost 69% are EMS based, and that's still the largest portion of our Cumberland Rescue has added a third truck during the daytime hours. They have done a study that shows that bringing a truck in during the daytime proves to be beneficial because of their billing cycle. It also frees us up quicker because we don't have to wait for the mutual aid companies to come in as long. So that's been in place for a couple of weeks. I'm sorry, probably closer to a month now. And it seems to be working for them. Also, because there's been some questions of me about how many times we received and gave mutual aid, I have included the 2 for the year in the report, and I can just briefly give you the numbers that we received mutual aid approximately 89 times from different departments, and I'm sorry, we provided mutual aid 89 times, and I've listed the departments that we went to. You just have to follow, I didn't list next to every single ID number, but when you look at 01706, it's Albion. So when you look through, you can find where else we went to Albion or CF or Woonsocket, Salesville. And we received mutual aid 225 times.
Chief,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you. So I just did a quick look at that, and teasing out the number of EMS calls separate from the times, I mean, that the report of the times we go out is only the fire side. It doesn't send times we go out for EMS, but you included the times we receive EMS into our town.
And that's
It's just the way the computer prints it out.
the way it worked out
Yeah, for
with the program.
yeah, I know.
The
So-
parameters, I put the same parameters in for
Yeah.
received as
Yeah.
well as given, and this is how the report came out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I know, it happened last year too. So when you sit down and break out and this has been a stickler of mine for, as you know, the last 3 years, because I think we go more than we get. So my rough numbers is, what you get, 85 times we've gone?
Yeah,
So just roughly, we've received fire aid from other districts is 56 times. If you subtract 180 EMS calls of rescues coming into Cumberland. So,
okay.
I noticed.
But EMS is part of our response, so that's
No,
why it gets included in.
I understand. Yeah, it's just a computer program, it's not anything, it's not like, unfortunately, it's, it's a stickler of mine that we seem to be providing a lot more aid of our excellent firefighters to districts around us. But I know the program prints out, if we were to put down how many times the Cumberland EMS went out of district, I'm sure the number on the other side would be higher as well. But it's just not-
Possibly, but that's not part of our jurisdiction, so
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
We probably could get that if we requested it
It's
from
okay.
Chief Blikus.
It's okay, I understand.
And basic other information is just to back up the report on the amount of calls that we received and attended to throughout the year. And you're right, Madam Chair, the last couple days between the snow, the rain, the ice has been a challenge. We've met it and prepared for it ahead of time, and luckily we skirted a lot of disaster. It could have been a lot worse than the ice was our biggest concern. Ice-laden trees coming down, taking power lines down would have created a lot more downtime for us than the small amount that we ended up receiving. So that was a good operation for us. The ice right now is contributing to a lot of slips and falls, and I'm sure in the next 2 days we're going to have some flooding issues.
As
So,
long as not our firefighters tripping and falling.
No
not
in-
yet.
No injuries, right? No.
Made it good so far.
Knock
Don't-
on wood.
don't-
Shouldn't
don't
say
jinx me
anything.
on that.
Probably
Knock on
just
wood.
jinxed myself.
Perfect.
Did you say that, I'm just looking through this again. You said there was an increase in responses this year?
Yeah, about 4%.
4%?
Yep.
Okay. Is this an increase in response from last year? Over last year?
Over last calendar year,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Is it in one district more than the others? Or is it just?
No, not really,
It's just everywhere?
yeah.
And the 4% is mostly EMS assist?
No, not completely. We've had more fire and service calls, CO detectors. Let me see. Yeah, it wasn't completely in EMS. The EMS was up a little bit, but it was, that 4% was somewhat proportioned over all reporting districts.
Chief, if I could, Chairperson, if I could, please.
Yes.
Of the 123 fire types that you had, and I'm not quite sure of the adjective I should use, which one of those 123 are there major fires, buildings burning down, or the like?
Any fire within a building, whether it's just food on the stove or whether it's room and contents, any response inside of a dwelling area or a commercial area is considered a fire response by the NIFRS, the National Reporting System. So that's how this report generates out. So,
I understand that, but I'm trying to get, and I don't know the adjective to use, of those 123, which result, did any of those 123 result in a building burning down or a major devastation to a building?
yes, we've had a few major incidents, uninhabitable buildings that had to be repaired before they could come back in. If you want a complete statistic on that, I could research
No,
that out
I
and
just
get
want
it,
your,
to you.
just your best educated guess.
Yeah, we had a few people that were displaced.
Okay. So of those 123, 5, 6, 7, 8 buildings were in that category? This is not written in stone, don't worry.
I would go probably 10 off
Okay.
the top of my head over the year period.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chief, did you want to go through the stations?
Please.
The stations, the captain's reports from the stations, or not? It's not a big deal.
You have a question on one of them, or
No,
any of
just-
them? or-
No, I just haven't had a chance to go through them all. Is there anything that, in your mind, sticks out that we should be aware of? I mean, tires are expensive, the computers are breaking down.
No,
Let's see Station 2.
well, major events, I can answer Mr. Kutziani's answer right off of ladder ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14, 15. There were 16 buildings damaged, and this is off the ladder one report, 16 buildings damaged that had to have significant repairs in the year period.
Thank you.
Is there a report from Station 2 in here anywhere?
Ladder one is Station 2.
What I'm wondering, what I'm asking for is, for example, Captain Emerson and Captain Bardsley both sent excellent reports about, the buildings, the kitchens and all that. And I'm wondering about, our elephant in the room.
Station 2's report is the same as last year.
Yeah.
We have made one little addition to it so that ladder one fits in better. There's been no other significant additions to it, and it is as it is. It's a station that needs significant attention.
Yeah.
I have one further question, Chief, if I could. That truck that was damaged in that motor vehicle accident, you said our insurance company was paying for it, or was it
Yes.
the other person's insurance company?
Well, when I notified VFIS, which is our carrier, they sent out their appraiser. He concurred with the repair shop's estimate. They cut us a check, and they're subrogating with the insurance company of the vehicle that struck ours. It's their indication that the insurance company of the private vehicle is very reluctant to settle quickly, so that we could get the vehicle repaired. They made payment to us, they'll subrogate, and then they'll return. The only thing they didn't give us was a $1,000 deductible so far. They are going after that with the subrogation. When they receive that from the insurance company, they'll forward it to us.
Having some familiarity with that in my profession, I understand that concept. If at a later date, the two insurance companies get together and sit down and hopefully work it out on an equitable basis, maybe a good portion of that deductible will be recovered.
I believe all of it's going, they indicate all of it will be recovered. I mean,
Okay, strong.
I know, that doesn't necessarily mean he was at fault. Probably was, but... Thank you.
Motion to approve, or, I'm sorry, Dan.
Commissioner Jones?
The Rise Energy project for the 4 stations,
Rise Energy project has been completed in all 4 stations.
that's the upgrade of the LED,
Yes, and it's bright,
right?
bright, very bright.
Thank you.
It exceeded what I thought the illumination was going to be, especially at Station 1, which was very dark on the apparatus floor. The fixtures that were there were just very problematic, and that has lit up very, very well. The rest of the stations were all completed. They started on December 31st, and I believe they took the dumpster out last week, so the dumpster was there a few additional days. I want to say around the 5th or 8th of January, the whole job was completed.
Chief, how are we looking at for applications for those 2 open positions for the SAFER grant?
We have 4 open positions. We had 39 applicants that tested. I'm sorry. We had 39 applicants that applied. 36 showed up for the written exam. 18 passed. We had oral interviews last week with a panel of 5 members from the department. They sent me the 16 that passed. They sent me in chronological order, and I've offered 4 openings to applicants today.
Good. Let's say best case scenario, once they get through the academy, how long do we think it'll be before we can put them on duty? Or is it right after the academy?
It's 4 weeks after the academy. When the academy concludes by CBA, they have to ride as an additional person for Cumberland specific training for a period of 4 weeks, and then they can be assigned to a riding position.
Thanks.
Chief, Mr. McCone just reminded me, as I was going through the budget, we have $20,000 in gear. Do we buy the gear before they go into the academy?
We send them with used gear to the academy because the concrete floors are very caustic
Okay.
to the gear, so they'll use used gear at the academy. It's controlled fire scenes.
Sure.
They won't be in jeopardy. The gear will be okay. It might not be a custom fit. It might be a little loose on them. But we found, and not only myself, but other departments have found, that the amount of crawling that they do in training really wears the gear out.
And when they graduate, how much is each set of gear? 2,500 or so?
It's around, well, An initial set would probably be like 2,700 because we have to get a face mask for them, boots, gloves, hood, helmet, and coat and pants.
So we're looking at about 12,000 plus clothing, all that.
Yep.
So about between now and where they graduate, how long is the academy? 12 weeks?
I've got 2 spots for the February class, and
Next
I
week.
have 2 spots in the April class.
So do we have 2 candidates going next week?
No, it's not, it's the end of February,
Oh, end of February.
yeah.
So 12 weeks.
Yeah, we'll have 2 candidates going
Cool.
at the end of February, and we'll have 2 candidates going the first week of April.
Great.
Madam Chairperson, one last comment. I know this is not part of the chief's report, but I'd like to say thank you to the chief and the firefighters in the Cumberland Fire Department on January 12th, when we went around to the tour to the 4 stations with a representative there at each station, indicating and describing the facilities and the equipment, et cetera, and I thought they did a very good job.
Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
Chief, an incident happened within the last week. I don't know if you want to bring it up now. Motor vehicle accident, turned out to be in Lincoln. And I understand there was several hazards present that were dealt with. Did you want to wait till there's 295 South that ended up in Lincoln?
Yeah, you might have either seen it on the news.
Yes.
That was definitely in Lincoln, but Cumberland got the call and responded, and it was on the southbound side of 295. The vehicle went off the roadway, climbed the median, took a tree approximately 16, 18 inches in diameter down onto the roof. The driver of the vehicle was not able to be resuscitated. He had expired at the scene. The vehicle was on fire from impact, both in the passenger compartment and the motor compartment. Ladder 1 was the first vehicle on scene with engine 5 initially, which is the normal response on 295 is ladder 1 and engine 5. Initially, with the scene presentation, the lieutenant called for an additional engine just because of the thought that there were 2 people in the car, not just a single person, the way he presented. So engine 4 also went. They called for Lincoln to respond because it was basically in their community. The message didn't get delivered correctly, and Lincoln was sent as a mutual aid to assist Cumberland at a scene. State police ended up handling the investigation and subsequent, but it was a tree on the roof entrapped with the driver of the vehicle with it on fire at 2 o'clock in the morning, and all of the things coming together. Guys did a really good job knocking the fire down, cutting the tree up to get it off, to cut the roof off to get to the victim in a fairly expeditious time. So a lot of operations going on simultaneously.
Okay. Any further questions? Thank you very much, Chief. Is there a motion on the table to accept the Chief's report? Motion by Commissioner Santoro. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hayden. All in favor of accepting the Chief's report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Finance report. Your turn.
My turn.
Are you coming up here to tell us that someone bequeathed $7 million to us?
I would love to do that.
Yeah, I know. Happy New Year.
We have collected about 80% of our taxes after the third quarter payments have come in. So we're pretty much following what we've been doing from year to year, though. We are at about the same point as far as the collection rate. Our expenses are at about 51%, which is good after a 6-month period, so we're at about half. There are a couple things I want to talk about with regard to taxes, but before I do that, I just want to know if anybody has any questions regarding the finance reports.
Any questions? Okay.
There have been quite a few phone calls in the tax office and taxpayers coming in to make their third quarter payments and finding out that their mortgage companies are stepping in and paying the fire taxes. Some people are very happy about that. Some people are not happy about that at all and are upset with us. This really has nothing to do with us. It's not our decision. We just want to collect our money whichever way we can get it. The mortgage companies are letting these, probably the biggest one is CoreLogic. They service escrow payments for banks and mortgage companies. The mortgage companies are giving CoreLogic permission to pay these fire taxes out of escrow. So they are not informing the homeowners. So the taxpayers are coming in to make their payments, and I actually filled in for Patrick for 5 minutes today and ended up with the taxpayer I said, "You've already paid your third quarter payment." He said, no, I didn't. Well, come to find out, CoreLogic paid it, and he's, said, well, I'm not happy about this. I am going to go home and call my mortgage company. And I said, they're just doing it without notifying anybody. So I believe we have had contact, right? Madam Chairperson had
Yes.
contact from a taxpayer who was not happy about that, but it's not anything we have any control over. This is between the taxpayer and the mortgage company. It's actually happened to some of our staff. We're saying, oh, by the way, CoreLogic just paid your third quarter payment without their knowledge. So if you do get a call, if anybody approaches you, I just wanted to pass that along, that it is between the taxpayer and the mortgage company. They have to let them know they don't want their fire taxes escrowed, and then it's up to the mortgage company to decide whether or not they will force them to do it. It is a lienable tax. And I think they're finding out that the fire tax, not paying your fire taxes is the same as not paying your real estate taxes. We put a lien on the property, we can have a tax sale, so that in itself is, I think, encouraging them to do this.
I still would like to know who authorized, who in the company authorized that whole thing. I mean, this is the first time it's ever happened.
It's the mortgage company that tells the CoreLogic or whatever service link, there's a few of them, they tell them, go ahead and pay these, we're going to escrow these fire taxes. Mm-hmm. Then the homeowner gets an increase in their mortgage payment because now that's being escrowed. But it's ultimately the mortgage company or the bank that's saying we're gonna stop paying this.
And it's a number of mortgage companies also that's
Yes.
doing this. It's not
Several.
just any one.
Right, correct.
This is bizarre.
Right.
It's not bizarre at all. If you're a mortgage company, this is it. If I'm a mortgage company, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if I'm the mortgage company, I've been saying this for 2 years. If I'm the mortgage company, I'm in the business of making money off your money. You give me a payment, and I have a loan of $400,000, and it's going to be over 30 years. I'm gonna take as long as I can. I know you don't want to hear it, but
No, I
it's
understand
that
what you're saying.
0.2% times they have 500, they have 1,000 or 10,000 customers, and that 0.2% that they're holding for 3 months multiplies, and they're going to make $1 million a year escrowing that money quarterly, and by holding it, it's just a matter of shifting money from, and they're going to transfer it just back to the customer, and the customer's going to see a $5 or a $7, I don't know, I mean, Vinnie, you do this, the customer's going to see how much on their monthly mortgage payment change.
I know,
In the
Paul, I understand that.
it's appalling. It's upsetting.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
What I have an issue with is why this all of a sudden happened.
Because they recognize it. They just is some smart financial wizard that came out of some business school who said, hey, you know what? They want to do quarterly payments? Fine.
But this is a number of mortgage companies.
Of course.
all
It's-
together
Of course.
started
It's-
doing this.
They all work together, right, Vinnie?
I think too, Madam Chairperson, the increase in mortgage applications because of the increase in home sales started to trigger this. We have had, I mean, how many times have we talked about taxpayers who wanted this? Lots of taxpayers wanted this. They wanted their fire taxes paid out of escrow so they wouldn't have to worry about paying them. Now we have angry taxpayers who don't want it that way.
Right, because
So,
they didn't have permission.
So what happens is, I think if they call their mortgage company and they have a history of paying their bills on time and good credit ratings, the mortgage companies will say, fine, we'll reverse the process.
Okay.
Madam Chairperson, I totally agree with Diane. I think I can understand why this may have happened with it being a municipal lien and such, and the documents, I'm not going to go through, but I think you're absolutely correct to tell the homeowner to call the mortgage company, and if enough people call, hopefully, they will stop doing it, because I agree with you also, Madam Chairperson, that for years that wasn't done. It wasn't part of the protocol. It was just real estate taxes and homeowners insurance.
And then this quarter.
And-
That's what mystifies me.
So hopefully enough homeowners will,
All of a
as
sudden.
Diane is giving them the information, will contact their mortgage servicer or what, and hopefully they will come to a resolution.
Thank you.
Can I ask a solicitor a question? I'm not sure if you handle real estate closings or if any of the attorneys are around.
little.
You do?
A little.
A little? I mean, can you negotiate that in your closing?
I don't think so. I was just going to give you my personal experience. I bought a condominium in, I think it was 2015, and Wells Fargo immediately started paying my fire taxes without me knowing. I think Diane called me one day and said, "Oh, you don't have to pay your taxes, just letting you know." And I just bought a new house, and same thing. They're paying my fire taxes, and I like it, by the way, because I don't have to think about it. But
But the question becomes is, you have any control over all at once or quarterly?
oh no, I think the mortgage company does what
What-
they're supposed to do on a monthly basis to collect, and then they pay whatever way
When
they
it's
want.
due.
Yeah,
They
they pay when it's quarterly. They can pay up front if they want, but I don't think they do
they're
that
not.
unless they're getting a benefit.
Exactly.
I know the town used to take 2% off your
Sure.
taxes, so they would get a large influx of money at the first quarter. But I don't know how much you can argue with your mortgage company about what they take out.
I don't think you can.
I don't think,
They're a mega company.
you can try, but,
Madam Chairperson, I think you have to look at your individual documents, and I wouldn't be surprised that what they're doing, they think that they have probably legal justification for a municipal lien, and they want to protect their interests.
Right.
However, I personally would dislike it myself.
Just don't all of a sudden do it without letting anyone know. Okay, any other further questions?
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept by Commissioner Santoro,
Second?
second by Commissioner Kutsiani.
Discussion once again, Diane, fantastic job.
All in favor of accepting the finance report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Okay. Resolutions.
Approval of 2019 meeting dates?
Oops, yes. Sorry, I missed that one. If you look at the 2019 meeting dates, I do need to change one date, as in past years. We did not approve them because I needed to confirm a change in a date, and it's September 26th, so we would move it to September 28th, Thursday instead of Tuesday.
Motion to amend.
Motion to amend by Commissioner Santoro.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones.
Madam Chair, because the 28th is a Saturday, if that's what you had said.
Okay, so I said the 26th, the Thursday? I don't have my calendar here. So.
I just have my calendar.
Can we
Maybe
please-
you changed it to, so September 26th is a Thursday.
Then it's fine. Then we're all set. No need to, if you would withdraw that motion, please, to amend. Okay. Is there a motion on the table to accept the meetings? Motion to accept by Commissioner Santoro,
Second.
second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor of accepting the meetings? Dates for 2019, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. So those are our meeting dates. All right. Thank you. Okay. Resolution number 1 for 2019. To engage attorneys Timothy Bliss and Vincent Regasta for collective bargaining and labor matters. Whereas Attorney Bliss will be the principal attorney for negotiations relative to the collective bargaining agreement. Attorney Bliss and Regata have agreed to provide such services at a reduced government rate of $175 and $200 per hour, respectively. Let it be resolved that Timothy Bliss and Vincent Regasta will continue to assist the Cumberland Fire Committee with hourly rates of $175 and $200 respectively for the purposes of collective bargaining and other labor issues required. Is there a motion on the table?
Motion for discussion. Motion to accept.
Motion to accept by Commissioner Santoro. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hogan. Any discussion?
Ms. Morris, I thought you had those numbers backwards just for their rate of hourly pay.
So Tim Bliss is the lower rate, and Regasta is the higher rate.
Oh, okay.
Bliss is the one that's been helping the negotiating
Okay.
committee.
I had them backwards in my mind. Okay. That's not an uncommon thing.
Any further questions?
Are we having them at all of the meetings, or are we just going to pull them in when needed?
I believe
Or is that something? we
Attorney
haven't
Bliss
decided
will be at all the meetings.
yet? Is that already budgeted? Do we already have that budgeted in the 17-18 budget, or is that going to be an additional expense?
I believe that was budgeted. I believe we have that budgeted.
Yeah.
We have a line item.
It's $30,000.
Yep.
All right, check.
Should, in that vein, should there be a, I mean, you can't put a limit. Should there be a time limit on this, or should there be?
The position that for every term, all of your professionals should be reappointed. So, I mean, you can amend it to say for this term of office, if you'd like. I think in mine, the next resolution, I think there is a
Yes.
time period.
For
But
yours.
I mean, if I were representing you in 2 years, I'd do the same. I'd say it's for the term. Another group of people has to approve the professionals that work for you. So if you wanted to, Commissioner, you could just amend line 32 by saying, comma, for this term of office, and that would work.
Motion to do what she just said.
Motion to amend
Motion to amend.
resolution number 1, indicating that the collective bargaining and labor matters will be for this term of office.
Madam Chairperson, I would imagine you'd want to put that language maybe in the resolved portion of the paragraph, maybe
Yep.
right after as required.
Yep, 32.
Comma, line 32, for this term of office.
Yep.
Very good, that's where it will go.
Someone say second.
Second.
Second by, so
Thanks, Phil.
amended by Commissioner Santoro and seconded by Commissioner Picone. All in favor of the amended version? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. I need a motion to accept resolution, the amended resolution 01, because we just accepted the amendment language. Motion to accept. By Commissioner Santoro, seconded. Second by Commissioner Hayden. All in favor of accepting Resolution 01 as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Okay, resolution number 2, the reappointment of Kelly Morris as general counsel solicitor. Whereas Kelly Morris has been the general counsel for the Cumberland Fire Committee and staff since her original appointment on January 13th, 2015, and the Fire Committee is satisfied with her services, and the Fire Committee is in need of legal services. Let it be resolved that Kelly Morris is hereby appointed as general counsel solicitor for the Cumberland Fire Committee for this term ending November 2020 at a rate of $125 per hour. This resolution shall become effective immediately.
Commission, Madam Chairperson, I know this issue is going to come up again. I was hoping that because of some issues that were raised last time, because of the potential conflict of interest, I'm going to move to table this until we get an opinion from the Conflict of Interest Commission as to whether this is doable.
Okay?
Until the meantime, she can, continue to provide services.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I haven't requested an opinion. Any conflict would be my conflict. I've represented, I think Commissioner Kutsiani's concern is that I now represent the town as town solicitor. I've represented the town council, which is the town, for the last 2 years. I've never had to recuse from the fire committee. I don't see a conflict. There's nothing that has come up, like I said, in even the last 2 years, that presents a conflict. So I don't intend to ask for an opinion. Like I said, it would be my conflict. It wouldn't be the board's conflict. So if you want me to ask for one, I will, but I haven't been formally requested to do that, and I just don't see the necessity. I don't have any, I'm very familiar with conflict laws, and I just don't see a conflict, but it's up to you.
Well, if I could respond to the solicitor's discussion, I don't want to create an issue here, but I am troubled by the code of ethics. She represents the town, she represents the board. If an issue were to arise, hopefully it won't, but if it does, there's still that possibility. And as a result, there is the potential, and it just does not sit that well, or the appearance. I can't have a person who is representing the town who might be involved with this sitting as our solicitor. There's issues involving there's potential issues. Hopefully they won't come to pass. We've had water issues with the town, could be tax issues with the town, anything involving the town. And since she's town solicitor, it puts us in a very difficult proposition.
In what way?
She represents the town, and now she can't represent us, so we don't have representation.
So, could you give me an example in which she would have a bias towards one or the other?
It's not a question of bias. She just can't do it. She represents the town. She represents the board. If an issue were to arise that involved those two entities or any entities or departments within those entities, she'd have to step out of being the solicitor for the board, and as a result, then, we do not have a solicitor for that issue.
I believe, as town solicitor, you have a assistant?
Turn your mic on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, but I believe you have an assistant solicitor for the town?
We expect to have one. We don't yet, but we expect to have one.
So, I understand your concerns. So,
If I may, so in order for the Ethics Commission to rule on a conflict matter, there has to be the presentment of the conflict. So, as Commissioner Kutsiani just said, right now there is no conflict. So, an opinion isn't going to matter. I cannot think of a conflict, frankly, that would arise that would force me to recuse from this body. Having said that, any attorney that you have potentially could have a conflict of interest. For example, if one of your taxpayers came to the podium with a complaint, and that attorney who was sitting in my seat represented that person, they would have to recuse. So any attorney sitting, if one of you has a business relationship with a taxpayer, you're going to have to recuse. It's recusing for that issue. It's not an inherent conflict. See what I mean? So again, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just trying to inform you of what the Ethics Commission would even look at. There's nothing ripe, as we attorneys say. There's nothing that I can envision, and there's nothing that has actually happened where I would have to recuse. I've represented the town council for 2 years, and I haven't had to recuse from representing you. So I just don't see it. That's all.
Ms. Maris,
Yeah.
I mean, you work in other towns.
I work in 5 other towns, yes.
Are there other solicitors, attorneys who work on multiple boards?
Well, so in your first, this body's first term of office, I think I went on vacation for one meeting, and I had an attorney come and sit in. If something like that happened, which again, I want to be clear, I don't see an issue for recusal. It might happen, but I would have another attorney represent you. On the town side, it doesn't matter.
No, what I'm saying is, say you work in North Providence, is that one of the towns you work at?
Yes.
Do you also work on one of the, as the legal advisor for the planning board or zoning?
Yes.
So you do zoning board, planning board,
Yes.
and you do the town solicitor? You do both?
Well, I do the planning board, zoning board, building board. They have a town solicitor, and I'm the assistant solicitor in that town.
Okay.
But again, if I had a conflict,
Yeah.
I would not be able
You
to
recuse.
represent, like if a developer came to that planning board, I would not be able to represent the planning board on that matter. We'd
Yeah.
have to bring in another attorney. That's normal for attorneys.
Yeah.
No matter who you get as an attorney, they could possibly have a conflict. I mean, that's just life. It's Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's only so many attorney-client relationships, I would say.
I understand.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and I'm looking at the Code of Ethics, which says, "No person subject to this Code of Ethics shall accept other employment which shall either impair his or her independence of judgment as to his or her official duties of employment or required him or her." And I understand what you're saying. If you're with the town and you, as town solicitor, you have a conflict, you step back, but there's already an assistant town solicitor to take your place. We just don't have that advantage here, and I think there's a potential, and it has the appearance. But it also has the potential. I know previously we had some issues with the water department, with the town of Cumberland Water Department, and that would have presented that particular situation. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but I can see it as a possibility, and it's for that reason I raised the issue.
So,
And again, any attorney that's sitting in this spot could potentially have a conflict on a matter, on with another client. Attorneys don't just represent one person. If Mr. Cucciani was sitting in this seat, he has many, many clients. If one of them came before the board, he would have to recuse. I mean, that's just business. I mean,
so the way I see this is, besides that explosion, we're a separate corporation. We could be a business, we could be a donut shop doing business in town. We happen to be a business that works with the town, very closely with the town. But we could also be a business that does business in the town. You know what I'm saying? So businesses that do business in town, for example, Dunkin' Donuts or banks, any kind of business that does business in town. We are a separate corporation. We have our own tax ID number. Now we have an attorney we've had for 3 years, and we're satisfied with her performance. I wasn't always, as I had our discussion, but now I am, and I'm very supportive, and I'm advocating for her, because I thought long and hard about this, and I think she separates, and when she doesn't, she says it. So, there's a motion that was made to table. It hasn't been seconded yet. So if there's no second, we have to go forward.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Hayden?
I'd like to second the motion right now.
Okay. Yep. Is there any discussion?
I would just say, I'll see if we table it. What if we table it, what's going to happen in the interim?
She continues.
And we're going to ask her to get an advisory opinion?
I made that earlier.
What's going to happen, if we do table,
There's really no discussion on motion to table, but I think this might be an exception to do so. We could ask her to get an advisory opinion to at least try to clarify this error
that the
about the
point?
potential conflict.
Well, let's see if the motion passes.
Okay.
Shall we do a roll call vote?
This is a motion to table.
Motion to
So aye
table.
would mean that we table, nay would mean that we do not table.
Correct. Wait. Aye is table, and nay is don't table. Okay. Commissioner Santoro?
no.
Commissioner Kutsiani?
Aye.
Commissioner Hayden?
Aye.
Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner Hogan?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacone?
No.
Commissioner Willett? No. Motion to table passes 4-3. So at this point in time, it's the expectation, Kelly, that you'll get an advisory opinion?
Sure, I'll ask. I just don't know what they're going to do, because there's nothing to present on a conflict.
Okay.
So, I'll ask.
All right, thank you.
I'll send you all a copy of what I've asked for.
All right.
Is that all, ma'am? Is that what you're going to send out to the...
I'll send you a copy of what I've sent to all of you.
Thank you.
So you can keep, I'll tell you when the hearing date is, when they schedule it. It'll probably be a month to 6 weeks before they schedule something, based on my experience.
Okay.
And everything stays status quo until...
Everything stays status quo. Any public input? Okay, at this moment in time, next on the agenda is entering into executive session.
Motion to enter into executive session?
Motion by Commissioner Santoro to enter into executive session. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Pacone. All in favor of entering, say aye. Aye. Opposed?